my contribution to save our Earth.
The Earth is filled with various natural resources such as water, air, plants, animals, and land. Despite the abundance of these resources, humans have been overusing them, thus causing harmful effects to the planet. However, by sustainable use of these resources, we can still provide a strong and sustainable future for the upcoming generations.
Climate change is already having negative effects on various areas of the planet, such as the habitats of wildlife and people across the globe. It's also contributing to the overexploitation of wildlife, habitat, and deadly diseases. Climate change-related threats to biodiversity are not years away. In recent assessments, the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) emphasized the alarming impact of climate change on species right now. Other threats include changes in the way land and sea are used, pollution, and/or exploitation. Currently, there are more than 142,500 species on the IUCN Red List, with more than 40,000 species threatened with extinction.
We must change the way we consume and produce energy, water, and food, simultaneously protecting the world's forests to prepare for a more sustainable future. We need to work to better understand how a changing climate impacts species, as we develop solutions to help them adapt to these changes.
From legislations to sanctuaries, as we try to restore our precious biodiversity, we must not forget the animals affected by these rapid changes who trust us to undo our actions and return to them their habitat.
Let's hear a short story told through the eyes of an endangered Arabian tiger living within the walls of a sanctuary, and what she expects from us despite all that has happened.
Panting heavily, I sprint past the dry hills, leaving a long trail of sand behind. They're chasing me with their claws, their guns, more weapons I can't understand but are certainly vicious. I halt instantly as a vehicle appears in front of me. I turn around to be met with another vehicle. No, they've cornered me.
Mom.
I wake up with a jolt, still panting as my daughter looks at me worriedly. She doesn't inquire further and soon walks away after I catch my breath. My attention is drawn to the door as it creaks open and the creature, a human called Ali, walks in, just as he does every other day. He drops it down in front of me and pets me. It's excruciating, but I stay put. My head held low, eyes averted. I can feel my daughter's glare. She's angry, of course. Ali leaves after waving at her, to which she responds with a low growl. I quietly enjoy my meal, the first and last of the day. Every morning, the exact large amount of the exact same meat is fed by the exact same person. Of course, my daughter is angry. This is all she's ever known.
Mom, why?
She asks sadly, her voice wavering a little.
Why do you let them treat you like this? Why do we live here like this? We are tigers.
Her voice is louder and more distinct with each word. Because that's the only way we can live. Dear, have your meal. I reply as calmly as possible and continue my meal.
But it's not. You told me about your childhood. You weren't fed. You would hunt. You lived in many hills above many different trees and oases. I want to do that too. I'm sick of being fed the same thing, the same people, the same hill, the same tree, the same rock, sand, and bumping into those invisible walls of theirs. I'm sick of it.
She roars. I panic and get up, warning her through my eyes. Unfortunately, I was too late as those creatures had already gathered outside the invisible walls, pointing their piercing lights at us. Look what you made them do! I growled back feebly, yet they made weird noises. She sighs and walks away, climbing one of the few trees we have in our space, pretending to slumber. I sit, turned away from those humans, and continue eating quietly. Soon, the evening sun cast long shadows on the ground. She hadn't spoken to me since morning. The day went by uneventfully, as it always does. I walk into our house they have built under the man-made hill. Dear.
No, Mother, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You might have lived wild and free. You have made memories without any boundaries. wild and free out there beyond these walls. And that is all I want to do. But you don't understand that. You never tried to understand me, and I'm done hoping that you will.
She cuts me off. That is not why I told you of my childhood. It was for you to have hope for such a future and not to be discontent with the present. I want such a present for you more than anyone, but that is not possible anymore, Felice. If you could be wild and free outside these walls, I'd do anything and everything possible to get you out. But that is not so. The world out there has changed. She walked out on me before I could finish. I don't follow her. I have nothing left to say. I was wild and free, as she said, living happily beyond these walls. But back then, there were no towers, no man with weapons. There were deserts, hills, and trees, oases we'd come by if we were lucky. Streams would form if there was rain. Man was never a threat. We existed together. They would also survive in the deserts, hills, live off the desert plants and water from oases and tarns. I watched them build unique claws for themselves. They grew in number, conquering our lands as their homes got taller, and they killed my kind. I could do nothing but watch as my kind faded slowly, along with our habitat. With things that hurt much more than our claws, they destroyed the balance of life. Now, they are trying to undo it remorsefully by bringing us here, which is the sole reason we're still alive. Being wild and free is wonderful, but staying alive is the most important thing right now. I don't want her to go through what I did the day I was captured. I hope she never feels that agonizing pain passing through your body. The panic as you see those tall towers, the concrete under your paws, and those creatures surrounding you with their weapons, their noises, the piercing lights, and your life flashing before your eyes as one of their weapons hit you. The poignant feeling of helplessness is one I never wanted to describe to you, and you should never feel it. A tear slides down my cheek. I open my eyes to a warm orange tint across the sky. I must have drifted off to sleep. Those creatures will be in their towers by now, but a few of them will be here to watch us even then. I could feel an unfamiliar silence, though. Consequently, I walked out. Dear, are you asleep? She's in there on the tree. I panic a little, but keep walking around, calling for her a bit louder. Dear, are you there? I have already walked around our space, but I didn't see her. I soon find myself running around our space, calling for her the loudest I've ever raised my voice within these walls. Felice, this is not funny! I stop running, panting as I realize that even though I've raised my voice and roared, no human has come to watch me. No, she couldn't have. I walk slowly towards the door I've never walked out of, dread pooling in my stomach. No, I cry as I see it open. Felice runs through the streets.
Where are the hills? Why are there endless roads in front of me? Why are there towers instead of trees? This is not what Mom told me. Why is it concrete under my palms and not sand? I've been running for so long and it's been the same towers building, blinding lights, people screaming, pointing lights at me from their phones. I can hear their sirens now. Where should I go? Where is my home?
Felice halts suddenly, panting in the middle of the road. Cars surround her and humans everywhere. The car which has been chasing her since the beginning arrives with the blue and red flashing lights as Ali, a few others at the sanctuary, and some strangers come out of it. Ali and the ones at the sanctuary walk closer slowly, and he tries to pet her. Infuriated, she roared at them. A few people stop pointing their lights and the cars start backing up as screams and shuffling could be heard. Ali tries again, but Felice roars louder, lifting her paws to scratch his arm slightly.
Mother would be so upset with me right now. I am too.
She stands there, panting as the reality washes over her. Eyes now staring into the gloom, wet with tears.
Mother doesn't like me crying. She'd say it turns my pretty tiger eyes into cat eyes. Those strangers take out their claws. They're weapons. Mother told me to stay away from there nevertheless.
They inch closer to her. Their weapons hit Felice, piercing electricity all over her body as she feels every bone in her body aching, and her heartbeat was all she could hear as the world faded.
I feel weak. Is this the last I'll see of the world? I can feel myself falling slowly but surely to the ground, but I can't move. I'm sorry, Mother. I should have listened to you.
I realize that they're back as Ali comes and shuts the door, letting himself in. He smiles, but this time with a hint of sadness. Sitting next to me, he sees my eyes wet and his smile fades. He starts crying. That's the first time I've seen him not smiling. Crying loudly now, he mutters in his language, repeating the same word again and again. I recognize that word. He was saying, sorry. He said it to me when I first arrived here within bars. He says it to me whenever he sees me hit against their invisible wall. A few minutes had passed as another worker came and called him away. He walks away after telling me something again. Did he say she's fine or she's gone? I do not know, but I held on to hope. The sun set, and in no time the sky was adorned with stars and the moon shone brightly. The only thing that is the same. The only thing that reminds me of home. I tear my eyes away from the sky as I hear the doors opening. Felice is brought in on a trolley. I walk closer worriedly. Our doctor, Noor, was there. She looked at me and pulled the covers off of Felice with a smile and thumbs up, which she would do after our monthly checkups. She does that when everything is good. I look over at Felice hopefully to see her chest rising and falling steadily. Relief washes over me and I felt like I could breathe freely again. The people go into our house and lay her on the bed. Dr. Noor stays with me, smiling at me warmly as she always does. She doesn't move or speak as we both stare at the sky, relishing in the comfortable silence. A few minutes pass before the workers come out, causing Noor to turn to me, waving as she leaves with them. Felice opens her eyes to the same trees, the same room, the same invisible glass, but she feels safe now. She doesn't despise it, and it doesn't make her sick. Sighing with relief, she walks out to see her mother sitting near the invisible walls. She hesitates, but she decides to finish off the inevitable confrontation as soon as possible. Step by step, she inches closer to her mother. Her mother has always loved her and taken care of her, yet she disobeyed and hurt her through actions and sharp words. Do you understand now, my dear? I ask her.
Understand what?
She prompts further. Do you know now why this is better and we are safer here? She hangs her head low.
Yes, Mother.
Are you badly hurt?
No, I'm completely fine. I was just sleepy.
Don't lie to your own mother, Felice, I replied curtly. I'm not angry, dear. I'm merely disappointed that I couldn't protect you. I'm sorry you had to go through this, and I'm sorry that I'm your only companion. I'm sorry your memories are limited within these walls where everything is the same. I understand your frustration, and I feel it too. But the world out there has changed from what it used to be, and I don't know if it's my fault or their fault, but I've come to realize that pointing fingers and blaming someone doesn't make anything better. Humans have hurt us. They have destroyed our world, but that was never their intention. I guess they just forgot about us while they were busy growing and discovering things to make their life easier.
But they made our lives miserable,
she says angrily. Yes, they did, and we have every right to be angry about that. But do you think we would be here if all of them were still like that? I ask.
Well, maybe. I don't know, Mother.
She replies hesitantly. No, dear, they have realized the gravity of the situation, the consequences of their actions. They have rediscovered the empathy they forgot trying to dominate the world. That's why they brought us here, fed us, gave us a doctor, and everything else we need to survive. We aren't living as wild and free as we could, but we are surviving and they're trying, and that is what matters the most now. I look at her with a smile. She nods understandingly.
Makes me wonder who the wild ones are.
She adds, "What do you mean by that, dear?" I ask doubtfully.
I mean, we're supposed to be the wild ones, but we're here disciplined as they are out there living as they want.
She replies matter-of-factly.
I don't mean it in a bad way, Mother. I'm just saying they are wild too, and that is what we have in common. I guess they just accepted later, but it isn't too late since we're still alive.
Exactly, dear. Let's hold on to hope and trust them to do what's right. Meanwhile, let's enjoy what we have, like this breathtakingly alluring starry night which hasn't changed, thankfully. She looks at me with a smile, nodding her head. We both gaze at the endless sea of stars above us, giving us hope that our home could be out there and we would be able to go back someday. I truly hope for a future where we can coexist as we did in the past, dear humans. And I believe this hope won't be in vain, as we are only as wild as you.